Greetings everyone, welcome to ChessAdvancedd. This game was played in FIDE World Cup. With the black pieces, we have the current reigning world champion Gukesh facing off against Nogerbek Kazybek, and the thing is that he is 2543 rated while Gukesh is 2752. So there's roughly a 200 rating point gap between them, and the first game he was able to hold the world champion to a draw. But now in this position, he's with the black pieces and Gukesh would definitely want to win because now he has to proceed to the next round. Here just e4 was played by Kazybek, and now just comes c6. He goes for the Khan like he does. Here just d4 and d5. We have e captures, the exchange variation, c captures, bishop to d3, and just knight to d6, knight to c6, and here just c3. We have queen to c7, just normal developing move. This is the main part of the exchange variation. We have h3, e6, and now just comes knight to f3, preparing castles, bishop to d6 now, and just castling and getting the king to safety, knight g to e7. And Kazybek most likely would be expecting Gukesh to go for some calm moves, because the thing is that he's with the black pieces and the person with the white pieces would definitely try to take advantage of the white pieces and try to win the game. But again, he know that he's facing one of the toughest opponents, so it's okay to get a draw with the white pieces and even try to go into the tie breaks. That would be a very good result for Kazybek. But the thing is that he just rook to e1, and now just comes castles by Gukesh, b3 in this position, and just a6. And you could have also gone for this rook to d8 line. I mean, just place the rook against the queen, and after bishop to a3, now just developing the bishop and asking for a trade, you play bishop to d7. Most likely, the trading here would help you, because after bishop captures, queen captures, and some b4 ideas, you have knight to g6. And although here you have some a4 and have some counterplay towards the queen side, but I don't think it matters that very much, because now you have knight c to e7, knight b d2, and you will just play rook a to c8. You have rook d to c8 as well. There are a lot of moves in this position. You can also play bishop to e8 and remaneuver the bishop towards some decent lines and maybe try to win the game. But again, Gukesh here just goes for calmly a6 and says, well, you have the white pieces, you got to prove it. So what do you have in mind? Hey, just bishop to a3, just developing and asking for a trade. You want to be able to trade this very strong bishop for that very weak bishop. And here we have knight to g6, bishop captures immediately, queen captures, and just bishop captures on g6. We have h captures and just knight to e5. More trades happen, more likely the game goes towards a draw, and Gukesh will know that definitely. Hit knight to e7 by Gukesh, already not trading more. And here in this position, you could go for a very nice line. I told you that a4 line is very important, because you need to have some counterplay. You're definitely not going to have it towards the king side, because Gukesh would definitely try to maybe bust open the king side and try to go for an attack. But here a4 would be a somewhat of an idea where you can try to just go towards and push those pawns and try to have some counterplay. After queen to c7, you just go push a5, take further space, and those space is definitely going to help you, because you still have to develop this bishop. This bishop is basically just sitting on the starting square, and you don't want to play a move like bishop to d7, because immediately knight captures will occur, and you lose all your chance of trying to win this game. And you're gonna have to most likely go for a draw unless your opponent blunders horribly. That's a different scenario entirely. But here f6, and now after knight to d3, you just go for this g5, and knight to c5, rook to e8, and here you are defending this with the bishop, but this is a very strong knight, and that's going to be bugging you. But you would have a very nice knight on f5 as well, so you don't need to worry about that. b4, you play knight to g6, and after knight to d2, the game goes on. Both players having equal chances. Most likely here Gukesh would have some chances better than the position that he tried to create. After knight to e7, here just h4 was played, taking up more space, but a4 still a decent option for Kazybek. Now just comes f6, pushing the knight back, and here knight to d3 was played, as I showed you in that line. So same moves in a different order. Here just bishop to d7, but just comes this rook, knight to d2, rook a to c8, and just rook to c1, and just rook to c7 was played. Now just comes knight to f3, and just rook f to c8. So completely doubling up towards the queen side, and Gukesh is trying to create some counterplay towards the queen side, where white, I don't know what it's doing, because you're supposed to create some counterplay with moves like a4, maybe even some lines you can try to go for h5, but obviously not right now, but because that knight is covering that square. But you need some chances, you need to create something. You are the person with the white pieces, you're not going to get this opportunity again, and you need to realize that that's the problem. A queen to d2 was played. Now just comes bishop to e8, trying to remaneuver the bishop, and here in this position you can actually go for some chances with a very nice move in this position, which is this g4. And g4 is a spectacular idea, because here after a5, now taking up space towards the queen side, because you have decided and you have made a committal decision that you're going to be pushing those pawns towards the king side and try to play towards the king side. So I may as well just go on the opposite direction and try to push some pawns. Here after king to h1, now you just go for bishop to f7, rook to g1, now trying to get the rook very decently aligned. And after a move like king to f8, because it's better to just move out of it preemptively, other than you have to face some tactics over the board, you won't like that. And here just knight to f4 pieces. I would be worried with all those knights and the rook already eyeing this with all those pawn pushes, but you don't have anything direct. And once you don't have anything direct, I may as well play on the queen side with a move like b5. And here after rook g to e1, just queen to d7, and after g5, just play knight to f5, rook to g1 again. But it's still a long shot, but again, you try to create opportunities like this only. You try to just move your pieces to better squares. Those two knight pairs are looking amazingly gorgeous, and you have these two pawns trying to push. The rook is already occupying the g file. Your position is absolutely marvelous. You can try to create some chances here, but unfortunately after bishop to g e8, hit g3 was played, and g3 is a very calm move. I mean, yes, it solidifies your structure, but you already played a move like h4 to be able to try to have some counterplay, and now g3 it doesn't make sense. Hey, just bishop to f7, and now just comes king to g2 and knight to f5, now just grabbing a hold of that very nice f5 square, rook to e2, and we have even a5, just preparing b5. And with a move like b5, you always have to worry about this annoying piece on c5 square. The knight is definitely going to jump there, but here just going for this queen back. We have rook to c6 and even rook e to c2, just allowing the queen to move. You don't want to have your queen stuck there defending that pawn. Here b6 now, but now just comes this queen to d2 and queen to c7, and now knight to f4, again targeting this. But for the moment, even if you're able to bring the rooks here, you have to understand that the bishop and the rook is doing a completely amazing job to be able to defend that weak backwards pawn. And other than that weakness, you don't have anything else. If you try to pile up on that pawn, I can defend it very easily, and this knight is not gonna, it doesn't have any squares, and you cannot remaneuver it. Although this knight is a powerful piece, you still have to find an idea to be able to break through in this position. So hey, with that in mind, Gukesh, as this knight is transposed towards this side, and you don't have to worry about that c5 square, he goes for b5, just pushing those pawns all the way, and makes a committal decision that he wants to play towards the queen side. Here knight to d3, again trying to occupy this, but now just comes this knight to d6. And now what do you do in this position? Maybe move like queen to b7 would have been much more better for Gukesh, because here after queen to e2, now you go for this knight to d6, and after knight to f4, just knight to e4. That remaneuvering of the knight and getting the knight there, also attacking this, the rook is also attacking this. You have some ideas of b4, so it looks like a decent position to me. I mean, already still it's a draw, as you can see with the engine valuation, but again, it just looks like you have much more to play for. You moves are very natural, and I think that would have helped you. Queen to d3, you play a4, and after b captures just king to h2, and you already have some chances with moves like a3 and just getting the rook there. But here after knight to d3, here just knight to d6 was played by Gukesh, immediately jumping in. And now just comes queen to e3, just getting the queen to a decent square. Knight to f5, again attacking the queen. Queen moves, and is Gukesh eyeing for a draw in this position, or is Kazybek? Because here again knight to d6 by Gukesh, and now just comes queen to e3. So both players have repeated the position twice. Are they going to do it again? Gukesh now says that, well, brother, no more draw for you. Here just queen to a7, and now we have knight to c5, getting the knight finally there. But you can see the engine evaluation shift, and not liking this move, and it's difficult for you to understand actually why engine doesn't like the move. But Gukesh understands the intricacies of the position, and he plays the best move in this position, which is this e5. And now he finally gets a break, and that too he gets in the center. And you can see that this structure is doing a very nice job of holding the king there without having to worry about any breakthroughs in the position. With the moves like h5, you cannot play g4, it will take at least 2 tempos, and e5 just does the job for you, because now b4 was played, but now even e4, taking up more space, attacking that knight that was sitting pretty there on f3 for all the game. And now we have knight to h2 trying to remaneuver, knight to c4 now attacking the queen, and here queen to e2 was played. And with queen to e2, you can see that the engine evaluation just completely goes bonkers and goes back. Here queen to f4, maybe a little bit active move, and definitely something that should have been taken into consideration by Kazybek. But the thing is that he was very much down on the clock, and obviously you're not going to find all the moves. Here just a caps on b4, and after c caps on b4, let me show you a line. You have to understand the intricacies of the position to be able to understand how and what all of these things would have entailed. Here, rook to a8 now, trying to just go all the way. And after this g4, now you have f5. Yes, you can go for this, because the thing is that after g captures and g captures, you cannot go for this queen caps on f5. If you try to go for this queen caps on f5, then I have this rook to f6 attacking the queen, and you're already in a lot of trouble here. You need to understand, because here after queen to h3, now I have queen to e7. And if you try to go for this rook to g1 now, trying to get the king over and just get the king to safety and try to start an attack, he just rook to h6, and now I'm already there cobbling up your pawns. King to f1, most likely I just capture that pawn, and my position is already very decent. Your king is very weak, and that's going to be a problem, because the knight is protecting this. Somewhere along the line, that rook lift is going to be really a nuisance. That's going to come towards an attack towards your queen, and I'm occupying the entirety of the third rank, and having this kind of position with the white pieces, you're definitely not something that you would dream of. But here after knight to c4, just queen to e2 was played, and this is worse. Well, why is this worse? Because now you can just trade and go into the same line that I told you in a different one, but you can also go for a move that Gukesh played. Here Gukesh goes for knight to a3 now, attacking the rook, and here we have a rook to b2, but just knight to c4 again. Just both players are very much low on the clock. They still need to figure out what to do in this position, and rook b to c2 again, going for the same moves. But now Gukesh gets a tempo, and he needs to understand what to do in this position, and he decides that he's not going to be taking a draw in this game, and he goes for f5. And now it's going to be really amazing. Here just f4 was played. You definitely don't want to go en passant in this position, so here just a caps on b4 was played, c captures, and just queen to a3, occupying the entirety of the third rank. And now white's pieces are pushed towards the back foot. It's your time to strike. Here knight to f1 was played, trying to remaneuver the knight, but just comes queen caps on d4, finally grabbing that pawn, and now you have a pawn to be able to push. And if you're able to create some chances towards that a2 pawn, this will become a pass pawn. Your knight is already really strong. Here queen to f2 was played, now just comes rook to a8, rook to c3, and just queen to a5. So slowly Gukesh is making headway, and the position is really getting better for him. And the thing is that this is move 42. They have reached time control, and the thing is that it's very good that the Kazybek has blundered in this position, and now Gukesh can really take over. Here rook to c2 was played by Kazybek, queen to d8, and now just comes knight to b3, rook c to a6, completely taking a hold of this file. And we have rook to e2 b4 now, pushing the pawn all the way and trying to create more chances. Here rook c to c2, and now just going for this bishop to e8, queen to e1, queen to b6, and now finally going for this rook to f2. Knight is currently just saving it, pawn for the moment, but here just rook to a3. Now the position, if you look at the position now and you just look at the position a few moves ago, you can see how much it has really changed. And it's not really a decent idea, because the position you've gone completely towards the back foot, and you don't even have any idea what to do in this position, because after this queen to b6 was played, just rook to f2, and now just comes rook to a3, knight to e3, and just knight caps on e3 with a check, even exchanging that really strong knight. Well, why did Gukesh trade the knight? Can't he do something else in this position? Well, that is the best move, because here after queen captures, you just play bishop to b5, and now I'm going to be occupying that, and my position is just so amazing in this that it's just very difficult to try and do anything. You don't have any counterplay. Your pieces are pushed towards the back foot. Your king is wide in the open, and well, my position is absolutely spectacular. Here rook to b2 was played, but now just comes bishop to d3, and we have queen to e1, queen to b5 now, and now just comes king to h2, but just queen to c4, and now I'm slowly infiltrating. And if you trade queens in this position, just think for a moment. If I try to go here and you trade queens, it's just completely over. It's going to be really over, because the pawn and the bishop is just going to be covering everything. You don't have any square for the rook. Once you go back, I just capture this, and your position just completely falls apart. So even trading queens in this position is not going to be an option. Here queen to e3 was played, but now just comes queen to c3, queen to d2, and just bishop to c4 in this position. And you cannot trade queens, so that's why queen to d1 was played, but just comes e3, pushing those all the way. And it's just basically death by 1,000 cuts, because now all you can hope for is Gukesh to strike, and that's really not a good situation to have, because even the engine is saying that it's a +7 evaluation. You're too short from having basically another queen into the game. Here rook f to c2, and now just comes even e2, a beautiful move, because you cannot capture this. If you capture this, this comes with the queen, and yeah, the game is over. Here rook caps on e2 was played, but now just comes bishop captures. He tried sacrificing the exchange to be able to try and do anything, but here after queen captures, his queen caps on b2 was played. A beautiful move by a beautiful finish by the world champion, because the thing is that now if you capture this, then this comes a rook captures, and that is the idea, because unfortunately that is covering the king as well. You're gonna have to sack the queen, and once you do, this pass pawn is going to roll forward after I attack the knight, and there is not much you can do about that. So in this position on move 60, here Kazybek resigned the game, and Gukesh got this spectacular victory on round 2. With that, Here, Kazybek is eliminated and Gukesh moves to the next round in spectacular style and does it with the black pieces as well. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with some of these amazing games. So stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon. Thank you very, very much for watching.